Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 27 of What If Naruto Had the Rinne-Tenseigan. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Direct Descendant of the Sage over an Anime King, and enjoy that guys. And over Anime King 2, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Put Through Hell and Adopted by the Raikage. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy as well guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Kushina just wanted her son to come back home so they can have a normal, peaceful, happy life. As her daughter was here, everyone else was here, she just wanted her son back home so that they could relax in their peaceful life. Well, after Konoha get what's coming to them though. Sasuke was relaxing as he didn't have much to do. Konoha wasn't even on his mind right now. Itachi was long dead and the elders were taken care of. So the only thing left was to start up his clan once again. As at the moment he was just relaxing, watching the scenery in front of him, unknowing that he was being watched. Someone was watching him, or perhaps it's not someone and it's something. Perhaps that is the correct term. Meanwhile, as Naruto arrived towards the inner ring, he told Nagato and Konan that they were being used the entire time. Nagato refused to believe him. Well, if he did, he didn't care because Naruto was here to fight and that is what he was going to do as well. As Nagato was surprised because he sensed nothing from Naruto, no overwhelming amount of chakra. But it was then that it shifted, it was like a switch activated and Naruto pulsed his chakra, the atmosphere itself was changing. Something that seemed to be asleep was waking up. As Naruto shrugged his muscles, moving, the building underneath him cracked. A battle ensued between them as Konan stayed back as she wasn't. On the level that they were on, Rinne-Tenseigan versus Rinnegan, the battle was immense. Luckily, most of the villagers had been placed away under the underground bunkers, but it seemed like that wouldn't hold up as the buildings were being collapsed. Mountains, far off in the distance, were getting backlash of exploding abilities going off. The eastern seaboard was shaking as the power they were releasing was just over the edge. Jiraiya had made his way towards the inner ring, as he had some speculation that he needed to find out about. He came upon the destructive sight as Naruto battled the path straight down to the last one, as Tendo tried to hold Naruto into his Shibaku no Tensei, as Naruto exploded out of it, as there was a shimmer of blue around his body, a dense, bright blue color that it moved. It was so bright as he took Tendo's head off before the man even realized. The speed granted to him in that form was immense. As the battle came to an end, Konan lured Naruto out of the village, as she wouldn't allow him to do what he was going to do to Nagato. As she brought him towards the sea, with his cockiness she caught him, as she ignited the 60 billion explosive tags, as Naruto was smack dab in the middle of it, as everything went off in a boom. But Zetsu made his way quickly towards Nagato's position. He quickly hijacked Nagato, giving him no time as he take over the man's body. In Nagato's weakened state, he could do nothing but move his hands towards Zetsu's command as Zetsu did the only thing that he thought might salvage things now. He brought back Madara Uchiha. If one thing, Madara wouldn't like that Naruto was going against the plan. If Naruto knew about Kaguya or not, Zetsu did not know. So yeah guys, that was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So let's begin this new episode. The ground was rooted upwards, like someone had broke from underneath the ground like some kind of zombie. As empty eye sockets walked through the narrow hallway. And where are they now? The voice spoke. The voice of someone that has not seen the world in a long couple of years finally awoken. At the Rinne-Tenseigan, said White Zetsu, as it was none other than Madara Uchiha himself being brought back from the dead. Well, it's time I go and retrieve my eyes, he said. Meanwhile, at the hidden sand, Temari did not like it one bit. The reason why she didn't like it that much was because of Shikamaru. There was this little relationship being built between them, the both of them being liaison for the villages. They were growing accustomed to each other, and she didn't understand why. I've told you before, Temari, said Gaara. It is the only way that we live. I don't understand. You've never had other contacts with him before, so why do you think that we need him now? Why do you think that we have to bow down to his suggestion? Because if we do not, all of us are gonna die. And as a leader of the Sand, I will protect my people in which way I see fit, said Gaara. Gaara, are you sure that you're okay? Temari asks. I've told you already, I have not been manipulated. I have told you and the counselors of the Sand that this is the only way that the Sand Village prevails. The other nations will fall. Trust me, he has the power to do so. You haven't seen it yet, but I have. And if we do not join the right side, all of us will die. Temari sighed as she lowered her head. She didn't know what the hell was Gaara thinking, but she couldn't change his mind. And the council members seemed to believe her. They had once agreed to go up against Konoha as well, but now they were following Gaara, as Gaara told them it was the only way. If they did not do this, all of them would die. And dying wasn't a good thing at the moment, so they followed Gaara's action, despite not knowing what it was going to get them in. But Temari still believed that somehow, some way Naruto was manipulating Gaara, yet there was no conversation that was had between the two. That was the part that confused her greatly, but something was definitely wrong for Gaara to be chosen his side so quickly after everything they'd been through with the Hidden Leaf Village. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Rain, the explosions went on for a long minutes. 60 billion explosive tag. The little water that remained, steam was rising from it. Hovering in the air looking down was Konan. She had set this trap up for the masked man, knowing that man was going to turn against them one day. So that is why she set this trap. But yet she had to use it, not against the masked man, but Naruto Uzumaki. She quickly turned her head towards the Hidden Rain. There is no way, absolutely no way that Naruto survived that. He was smack dab right in the middle of it. It exploded on him, everything. She had to quickly go back to make sure that Nagato was okay, because of what Naruto said about Nagato, as she quickly flew back. She had to come to a stop though as she saw someone barring her path, as a person made himself known on one of the higher buildings that remained. Sensei, said Konan. So it is you, said Jiraiya. Konan, you're alive, the man said as he was surprised, as he thought that they had died in the third great Shinobi War. What are you doing here? Konan asked. I need to find out what is going on. Where's Nagato? Where's Yaiko? He saw a small frown came on her face, but it was barely noticeable. I don't have time for this. I need to go, she said as she fly upwards to get over his head. Konan, wait, he says. He started to chase after her, looking back towards where the massive explosion had went off. Jiraiya had not go anywhere near there. After all, the explosion was too massive. Get anywhere close there, he would probably be blown to pieces. As he chased after her, making his way, Jiraiya arrived as she made her way through a destroyed platform going down, not caring that he was following her. She quickly rushed underneath. As he arrived, there was a broken door standing there. Jiraiya then heard crying as Konan staggered backwards. He quickly moved forward and caught her, as the girl was shaking with fear, sadness, and grief. Konan, what is... The man paused when he saw what was ahead of him. The body. The body of someone. It was in this strange machine. Jiraiya could not tell who it was because there was no head, but given from her reaction, it must be someone close to her, either Yaiko or Nagato. But which one? Tears were in her eyes, as she couldn't believe it. Her legs seemed to have just given out on her that moment, her body feeling weak, unable to contain itself. As she watched the body of her friend, held up in the machine with his head completely gone. It was for his eyes. She clenched her fist. It couldn't have been Naruto. She took care of him out there. What he said about Black Zetsu. It was him. It was the masked man finally making his move with Black Zetsu on his side. Konan picked herself up, anger in her eyes. Well, I can see that it all went as planned. Konan froze. Couldn't understand how that voice was talking at that moment. Jiraiya himself froze as well because he felt nothing. Only someone brushing past him. He didn't feel a person arriving. As Naruto stepped in the room, my, what a gruesome thing, isn't it? I mean, he could have just ripped out his eyes. I mean, taking the entire head. Seems he wanted to scar you, said Naruto. As he looked towards Konan. How am I alive? Said Naruto. As Konan couldn't even say the words. Please, you think after everything, I would allow you to take me out? To ruin all of my plans? Jiraiya, why are you here? Said Naruto. Why am I here? Jiraiya clenched his fists. You know what? I don't really care, said Naruto. If I were you though, it's about time that you leave. Why? Haven't you done enough? Asked Jiraiya. Why should I leave? Because I'm gonna be making a statement and I don't need you to be alive so that you can witness and report back to the rest of the Elemental Nation. For them to realize. Realize what? What are you up to? Said Jiraiya. Naruto smirked as he was gone. It was a burst of speed. Konan turned as Naruto raised his hand. There was this shield, this wall of nothing but pure, negating chakra field from the Prita path that stopped her from shifting her body. Konan could not transform her body into paper. As Naruto's hands were glowing, that said, Prita path glow. As he grabbed her, Konan felt the chakra being siphoned out of her body. She twisted as she brought her elbow up and slammed it right into his face, but he barely budged. Jiraiya moved forward. Said Naruto. Do you want me to snap her pretty little neck? As Jiraiya stopped himself, Konan felt herself getting weaker and weaker and weaker as she kept on slamming her elbow into his face over and over, but he barely budged. As her hand dropped to the side, no longer able to sustain it, as her body was too weak to even move, and she couldn't believe she was caught so quickly. She couldn't even understand how he was still alive. After everything. Don't be sad, said Naruto. Besides, you're gonna go see your friend again. I'm sure. He's missed you, said Naruto. Snap! One quick snap as Jiraiya's eyes widened. As Naruto broke her neck, without hesitation, without a care in the world, a Rasengan formed in Jiraiya's hand in a second as he shot forward, only for Naruto to slap away his hand. As Jiraiya's chest was left wide open, Naruto delivered a swift, powerful chest blows that made Jiraiya cough blood instantly. Jiraiya was shot behind the blows. As the man coughed blood, Naruto grabbed him by the hair before grabbing his face and smashing it right through the wall. A brutal kick to his face. Jiraiya felt his brain rattling in his skull. As he was launched back, Naruto picked his head up and slammed it several times into the ground. Everything started to go blurry as Naruto slammed his knee into Jiraiya's stomach. The man coughed up blood as Naruto grabbed him by the throat and squeezed and lifted him up before twisting his body and slamming Jiraiya hard. Something must have broken as Naruto picked Jiraiya up and held him up in the air. I told you, I need you as a witness. It doesn't matter what state you're in. As he created a clone as he threw Jiraiya, the clone caught Jiraiya by his hair. Jiraiya raised his arm. The clone lifted him up and snapped both of his arms as Jiraiya cried out in pain. Stay still, will you? The clone said. Jiraiya felt utterly useless, as he was just being held like some kind of toy. It's not time for you to die yet, said Naruto. The clone then flew off up in mid-air. As Naruto stood in the depths, in the center of the hidden rain, he could sense them all. He knew where they all were, all the people. As he looked around the village, he flexed his wrists before his eyes pulsed. It then grew. A skeleton structure grew from his body until it surrounded him. It then grew larger and larger and larger, larger and larger, until it dwarfed the hidden rain. The massive creature or construction that he created stood over the village. Jiraiya looked up in nothing but utter shock, forgetting his pain for a moment as he couldn't believe. How, how could someone muster the power to do something like this? As Naruto stood in the center forehead, because the thing had 3 heads. One face looked rather angry. The second one looked rather neutral, while the third one had no features at all, just a blank face. As Naruto stood in the angry face, a cube, a diamond of sorts on its forehead. The thing had several swords on its back that were neatly packed, 10 swaying tails behind it that looked like it was about to destroy everything at a moment's notice. It was white, pristine white, blue veins run down its body. It was dressed in this strange samurai armor from the old days. "You like my form of this Sano," said Naruto. "I figure it would be fitting," said Naruto, as a clone was talking like Naruto would. The real Naruto stood there in the center. Before it reached, the massive arm of the Sano reached up and grabbed one of the blades. The blade was unsheathed as Jiraiya saw the thing was freezing cold because of the steam, the ice that was permeating the air from just drawing it. Jiraiya could feel a chill went down his spine. This should do it," said Naruto as he drive it. He stabbed it right inside of the center of the village. "Hidden art," said Naruto. "Final level. Complete freeze." As he muttered those words, it happened in seconds, as a rush of cold swept over the village. Every single raindrop that was falling down from the natural rain was frozen. The heavens itself seemed to just pause. Buildings were frozen solid. The people far underground making their way towards exits far underground. One of the men stopped one of the guards, as he was given a job by the angel herself to get the people out of here. As the man saw his breath, the other guard looked towards him. A Jonin, go by the name of Kata. "Kata, is it just me or did the place get cold all of a sudden?" "It's usually cold," Kata said, "but not this." Kata's eyes went wide. "Run," he said, as that was the last words he was able to get out, as Kata was freeze over. Not just him, as the people scream at their bodies were frozen over. All of them frozen down to nothingness. They didn't have the chakra necessary to break out of it. They didn't have the heat, the power to explode out of it and free themselves. So they were nothing but popsicles stuck down there. As Naruto left the blade in the ground, before he pulled out another one, this one, Jiraiya started to sweat as the place get hot, as Naruto dragged it down into the ground. "Now, enjoy," said Naruto. Final level. Extinguish. As the flames washed over everything, the flames seemed to dwarf the ice as everything around was melted, burned away into absolute nothingness. The massive lake that remained over there was also frozen away and now it was gone. Nothing but steam rose up in the sky as everything was just gone, wiped out like it was never there. Jiraiya stood in mid-air as he was still being held up by his hair by the clone. Jiraiya lost it. That small shiver of hope that he had of defeating Naruto, he didn't see it anymore. He didn't see the lines of winning. If he had done this to Konoha, he could have ended all. How could someone even muster that kind of power? Jiraiya didn't believe that this was possible, yet he was seeing with his own eyes. If someone had told him that this happened today in rain, he wouldn't have believed them. He would never believe them. But yet he was seeing everything in front of him, and there was absolutely nothing he can do about it, as everything was gone. As the Susanoo faded away, along with the massive blades, as Naruto came over towards Jiraiya, Jiraiya noticed a sweat on his brow. Seemed like it took a lot out of him to do that. As Naruto wiped away the sweat, "I'm sweating," he said. It seemed to be a surprise to him. "Well, I must say, throwing around techniques like that shouldn't be easy," said Naruto. Perhaps it was because of the scuffle with Nagato. "What, have nothing to say?" he asked Jiraiya. Jiraiya lowered his head. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. Inside he was also afraid. Yes, the proud Toad Sage was afraid. He knew that he was gonna die. There was no preventing that. But he was worried about Konoha. Worried about the entire world. If Naruto was allowed to live. This monster. No, not a monster. This abomination. Whatever it is. Was too powerful. And he didn't see any way that they could stop him. Jiraiya spoke though. What now? He asks. Oh, I'm gonna bring you back to Konoha, said Naruto. Besides, I want to speak to Snatty. It's been a while. I don't mean that, Jiraiya said. What about everything? The nation is trying to fight you. You make it seem that there is hope, but actually, there is none. Oh, you realize that, said Naruto. Ah, good boy. Jiraiya clenched his fists. What's with this attitude of yours, he said, losing his temper. As he couldn't move his arms, they were snap. Acting so calm. Acting like everything is perfectly fine while you're doing all of this. Do you not have any shred of dignity? Anything in your heart, any remorse for the people that you just slaughtered, Jiraiya asks. No, said Naruto, his tone becoming cold. Watch your tone while you speak to me, said Naruto. You're one of the people I want to kill the most. But I can't, as yet. Because I need to do something first, said Naruto. So I suggest you watch your tone. Because there's much worse thing I can do than kill you. And why do you want to kill me? Is it because I left you alone, said Jiraiya. That and a few more things, said Naruto. Well, my father also wanted to kill you. Let me guess, said Naruto as he saw the look on Jiraiya's face. You still don't believe that it's Minato? No, said Jiraiya. Well, you're wrong, said Naruto. Because that is my father and my mother. It's just that they've seen the world for what it truly is. The corrupted, twisted thing that it is. You did something to them. And even if I did, that is still them. So you did do something, said Jiraiya. Oh, I guess I slipped, said Naruto. But there was this comical look on his face, like he didn't care. You think you knowing that I did something or that I'm gonna do something, change anything? In the grand scheme of things, they're not important. And what's the end game here? What are you after? Said Jiraiya. What do you want? Peace, said Naruto. Jiraiya scoffed. Peace? You shouldn't even say that word. Alright, I'm lying, said Naruto. I'm selfish. You see, all those years of getting the shit beaten out of me, getting wounded towards a path of trying to kill yourself over and over. Jiraiya blinked at that. Oh, you never knew. Well, you see, when I was at Konoha, getting severely wounded over and over, getting maimed, stabbed, burned, I tried to kill myself at least 15 times. But it was all prevented by the fox. Because of his healing chakra. Perhaps if the fox allowed me to die, none of this would have happened. Sensei, he did his best, Jiraiya said. Oh, his best? You mean forgetting about me? You know, I didn't know the old man until I was 4 years old. I didn't even know him until then. For the past 4 years I was stuck at the orphanage, where the woman fed me literal poison. And I'm not over-exaggerating anything. She put poison in my food. I was too young to realize by then. But it seems like the fox somehow hurted her family once it attacked, so she wanted me dead. On a daily basis I would be sick, puking my guts out, even coughing up blood. And whenever I cough or make a noise, she would come in and severely beat me with a strap, telling me to be quiet and just die, like the monster I am. So yeah, you think it wasn't that bad, huh? That still doesn't give you the right to destroy everything, said Jiraiya. Well, you believe that as much as you want, said Naruto. Well, I'll be killing everyone. You see, I already ripped that woman's throat out. While I came back to Konoha, I found her. She had a family. A pristine little family. 2 daughters, a son, and her husband. His head was the first thing I bashed into my bare hands. Then I killed her kids. I let her watch that I did it, before I used my hand and tear her throat open. Slowly and calmly. Her screams were delightful. You've lost it, said Jiraiya. You're a psychopath. Well, in some ways, said Naruto. Yeah, but not to the people I actually care about. But I guess you're right. Perhaps having these powers, knowing that I'm literally untouchable. And I don't mean that in arrogance. It's basically a fact. Well, unless you know something. Well, there is someone coming that knows something about me. So I'm gonna have to kill him as well. But that fight would truly be glorious. There will be many deaths. And when I do come to Konoha, I'm just gonna kill everyone there. I hope you're ready for that day. As Jiraiya couldn't even say anything as he was sucked away. So was Naruto, as they seemed to have teleported. The next thing Jiraiya noticed, he was looking down at the hidden leaf. High-speed teleportation? Before he was chopped in the back of the neck and he was knocked out. As Naruto lowered himself, his eyes scanning everywhere, he saw that the tower was being rebuilt at the moment. As he landed in the village, his feet touching the ground. Screams could be heard the moment he landed as people saw him run, panic. He was instantly surrounded. As he raised his hand, still holding on to the battered, broken form of Jiraiya. As their eyes narrowed, "Easy," said Naruto. "I'm not here to kill you all yet," he said. "You still have a couple of days left from what I remembered." As the group tensed as he stepped forward, as they were already prepared to go through hand signs. As Naruto sighed, the street was already clear, as the ninjas had moved quick. Suddenly, he turned his head as he felt something charging towards him. A fist that was packed with so much chakra that it would take him out. Well, she thought. It was not just one but two. Nadia was at the front and Sakura was at the back. As Naruto looked down, he saw there was 5 different shadows attached to his alone. 5 different. Nara members. Shikamaru being one of them. "Whoa," said Naruto. "I guess you guys were prepared." As Nadia and Sakura waste no time, their fists infused to the point to take him out as they caught back their fists. Naruto sighed as he moved his hand. The Nara members struggling as they were sweating, despite it being 5 of them. "You can't contain me," he said, a small bit of shout. His voice reverberated through the area as his body pulsed, literally just shim, and there was this explosion that radiated from his core that blew everything away. "Look what you made me do," said Naruto. "I wasn't even here to fight." As he tossed Jiraiya, Tsunade caught him. "What have you done to him, you monster?" "Monster now, huh?" said Naruto. "I guess there is no more repent for me." "No," she said, as she clenched her fists. "Well, that's too bad. Because I'm here to give myself up," said Naruto. "I no longer wish to see Konoha be destroyed. All this time I was making you all suffer because of what I did in the past. Something I'm incredibly sorry for. And if you wish to kill me, you can do so. But I wish to have a public execution so all of you can make me feel as miserable as I made you feel, knowing that I will be coming for you one day and you all will be dead. I'm so sorry." He turned his head. Everyone was shocked silent. As Naruto started to laugh. "Oh my god, did you really believe that?" he said. "You people, are you that stupid?" As a kunai came toward his skull, Naruto caught it. As he looked at the explosive tag, the thing went off into his face before hundreds of kunais came barging down on him. They exploded where he was. Coughing could be heard as Naruto wiped the smoke away from his face. As there was this small feeler on his body that seemed to neglect everything that you were throwing towards him. The almighty pushed in a smaller form to repel things away from him. The explosion didn't even get through. As Sakura stepped forward. "You know what? I was planning something with you," said Naruto. "But I guess that is no longer needed. After all, you are no longer needed," said Naruto. "I have made up my mind," said Sakura. "And I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna free you from this misery that you have caused yourself and so many others." "I'm gonna help you, Naruto," she said. "Help me," said Naruto. "Oh, don't mind if I do." As Naruto raised his hand, the universal pull, Sakura was yanked towards him. Sakura Kiba cried out. As several more members rushed forward, as Naruto simply waved a single hand sign, before a massive crack appeared on the ground. Fire exploded out of the ground, forcing everyone to stagger back as Naruto grabbed Sakura by the throat. She raised her fist and smashed it into Naruto's face. While she tried, gravitational force stopped her. "Let me go," she said. She couldn't breathe. As Naruto looked at her before dropping her to her knees, the force smashed on her shoulders, as she literally could not move. The fire was still twisting around Naruto, forcing everyone to stay back. As Snaggy and the others were trying to break through it, but they could not. As the fire was getting stronger and stronger the more time went on, it seemed to be mixed with wind to amplify the strength of it. Sakura looked up at him with pleading eyes. Did you not care for no one and nothing back then? As Naruto stooped down, to tell you the truth, no. I only came to Konoha for Sasuke because he was needed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have returned or even show my face. Perhaps we wouldn't have this relationship where you would think that you could talk to me and talk me out of things. But you should know, Sakura, that part of me, you know that part of people that tell them whether or not to do something bad, it died a long time ago. I'm afraid I feel nothing. No remorse. No saddened by anyone's death. And you were just a really annoying bitch that got on my nerves. You don't know how many times I suppressed the urge to just snap your neck. But I couldn't because I had to go on with a fake chore of being a good guy, which I was not. But know that that is all over. As Naruto reached forward, a black ball appeared in his palm. This is a truth-seeking orb, said Naruto. When this come in contact with a human flesh, you wanna know what happens? Don't bother, I'll show you, he said, as he flicked it. Sakura tried to move, but the weights on her body, the force that was forcing her to the ground, were preventing it. So she decided to tap into the gates that she learned from Guy, but it was too late. As the ball struck her right in the chest, the flames died down as Kiba brushed away the smoke. Sakura, he says he saw her sitting there. He moved forward, despite no one knowing about their secret relationship that was going on. A part of Kiba came to really care for her, but he would never say that out loud because he knew that she didn't actually care for him. But he couldn't help it. But the moment he touched her shoulder broke away. Her shoulder broke away. As Kiba watched as she turned into dust. The small ball floating back towards Naruto. Ouch, a shame. Seems like the both of you had a thing going on. Why don't I reunite you? Kiba turned to face Naruto, but his head was gone the next second by the small, black sword that Naruto had in his hand. The truth-seeking art that he could twist into whatever he pleased. As Naruto flashed, the drop of blood that came on it. The truth-seeking ball then turned back small, as it was gone. Snavy looked up towards the ashes of Sakura that remained. When the pervy sage wakes up, ask him what happened. He should inform you guys about your utter demise when the time comes. For now, I have more important things to do. With that, he just vanished. A burst of speed or teleportation they did not know. Everyone stood there at utter defeat. Guy stood there as well, seeing the immense power that Naruto now have. He knew what he would have to do to stop Naruto once and for all. Something that would cost him his life, but he has to do it. As Kakashi stood there, froze. The power that Naruto has been showing lately was nothing they can handle. It was above them, as he watched the dust of Sakura that just floated off into the wind. His last student that was here. The girl that he was so proud of who changed her life, who became one of the strongest out of her peers, surpassing Neji all of her peers, to show her strength. Now she was just gone. Not to mention Kiba, as Naruto didn't have any remorse, nothing at all. Meanwhile, that was going on. As Obito was surprised, but how, he said. Seems everything played out well. But you weren't a part of it, said Madara, as he stood there. Back in the flesh and blood, his eyes pulsing with a Rinnegan. Zetsu had brought them right towards him, so there was no need to go to the inner ring. Obito was utterly shocked as fear overtook him. Because with Madara being back and with him possessing Rinnegan, there was no use for him. How did you... Well, seems like everything played out in my favor, said Madara. But you weren't a part of this, judging your reaction. Tell me, where is Naruto, he asked. As Zetsu had no idea where Naruto was, so he wondered if Obito knew. He's not going along with the plan. In fact, he wished to ruin it. I had a feeling that this might happen. You knew? And you didn't tell Zetsu anything? Well, a part of the boy was too broken to want peace to reign on this world for anyone else. What? Said Obito. Well, you see, unlike you, who wants everyone to live in a dream world, Naruto is the complete opposite. Well, for those who he doesn't care about, that is. He wants everyone else but the ones that he cares about to suffer, to either live under his rule or to die. He's just that wicked, a fact that I really like about him. But I guess I'll have to stop him, said Madara. After all, his ideals and mine are not the same. And I'm sure that he's gonna want to kill me as well, or perhaps just to fight me to test himself. I figure that, given current events, he hasn't had anyone to literally push him towards a limit. He's strong, you know, said Madara, speaking of Naruto quite fondly. Ah, it's amazing to hear praise from the one that taught you, said Naruto, as he stood in mid-air before slowly lowering himself. Obito, said Naruto, I'm surprised you're here. I mean, what happened? I thought you were gonna try to kill me and take my eyes once I finished facing off against Nagato. But once I was finished, you were nowhere to be seen. I was feeling a bit weakened. You know you should have come, right? As Madara said nothing, he looked over Naruto for a few seconds before speaking. You have grown into a fine warrior nonetheless. I take it that you're here to dance. In due time, said Naruto. But first thing first, I'm gonna kill this asshole. As Obito staggered back, Madara looked towards Obito. He's not important anymore, so it does not matter. The real question is, you don't want the plan to be done. To live in a world where there's nothing but peace. We're your family. Oh, my family is already here, said Naruto. My mother, father. I even have this hot girlfriend. You should see her, said Naruto. You know, you are my family as well. Could introduce you too. Well, that wouldn't be right after all, seeing that you're going to try to kill me the next moment. Or perhaps even take these eyes of mine. Know that you're young. Imagine the things you could do with them, said Naruto. Indeed, imagine, said Madara. A swirling vortex as Obito tried to flee, only for a hand to backhand him away as he slammed into the ground. As Madara's eye twitched as he saw it. Seems to have developed far faster than I thought, he said as he looked at Naruto. Well, you were there when I first unlocked this ability. I guess you can see me full well. Isn't that right, said Naruto. Yes, I can, said Madara. I'm guessing that a lot haven't been able to know what you're doing. As Obito picked himself up, surprised that Naruto was able to hit him right out of the Kamui. Oh, you're not going anywhere, said Naruto. You think your little dimension can save you? With these eyes of mine, I can rip and tear into any dimension I please. And your dimension is not the worst one. So if you flee, I'll come after you. So I assure you there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Obito snarled at that, as an angry feature came over his face. But you know what? Just because I'm an asshole, I'm gonna make you suffer a bit more, said Naruto. You wanna know something? You see, Madara here. He was the one that actually made Rin die. Obito blinked in confusion. What is he talking about? Well, he was the one that set everything up. After all, he needed you. He needed you to see how twisted the world was. So he used and twisted your mind. Make everything fall perfectly. It wasn't a suspicion that she was so close by. For you to see that death that changed you, so that you can work towards his ultimate goal. As Obito's eyes were fuming as he looked towards Madara, who simply shrugged like it wasn't a care in the world. But I, on the other hand, am a good person. So that is why I did this, as a vortex opened up right beside Naruto. A confused groan could be heard, as Naruto reached inside and pulled someone out. It was a woman, dark brown hair, and brown eyes as well. Obito was shocked. How? Rin stood there. Her body had been aged up to what she would have looked like at this age. Well, you see, said Naruto, with these eyes, I can do a lot. Also age up the body to what it would have looked like, even though years has passed. After all, you wouldn't want her being a little girl, right? I mean, you weren't a pedophile, said Naruto. Obito? Said Rin, looking confused and dazed, as she looked shocked. Ah, the happy couple finally get reunited, said Naruto. Well, aren't you gonna tell her you love her? I mean, this is what you've been waiting for, right? Rin stepped forward. Obito, I've missed you, she said. As Obito scanned her with his Sharingan, she moved forward. As Obito dropped his guard, everything, as she came towards him. She placed a hand on his cheek. I missed you so much, she said. Rin, you're back, he said. Yes. As she hugged him, she removed the mask from his face. Tears were in his eyes. Obito coughed up blood as he looked down to see a hand through his chest. What? Ignorant fool, said Naruto. You did all of this for a woman. From what I learned, didn't even like you. She actually liked Kakashi. Well, seeing that you're gonna die at any moment, I can also tell you that I can peer into someone's mind. You know what she said right after she thought you died? When she thought that she was gonna die as well. She wanted to confess her feelings for Kakashi. But being the guy he is, and seeing that you have just died, he refused them. He told her that he didn't want to sully your memories, when in fact she just was gonna tell him that she liked him as well. After all, there was no point of going down with regrets. So you did all of this for a woman who didn't even like you. If there was any other definition, any other reason to call someone a simp, that would be you, said Naruto. As Obito watched as there was nothing there, no ring. How? He said. How? Well, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna leave you to die, not knowing how I do what I do. As Naruto pulled his arm out as Obito started to fall. As the man was falling, going off into a blissful death, as Naruto was going to let it be that easy as he kicked the man's head right off. His legs seemed to have turned to steel, the azure path of the Rinnegan, kicking the man's head right off. Quite brutal. Seems you have only gotten worse over time, said Madara as he had stood there the entire time just watching. But your illusions won't work on me. I see that you have mastered that technique of yours. The Rinne-Tenseigan is quite a dangerous thing, isn't it? To be able to enter someone's mind without them even knowing, placing thoughts and images here and there. After all, to make him see the one that he loved, while I saw him talking to nothing but air. That technique of yours is quite powerful. But you know it won't work on me, right? Said Madara. Yes, because you flood your mind with chakra, your entire body to feed off my slippery events. Yes, but you have gotten faster. A simple blink, and someone can be caught up in your little illusion. We can't even call it genjutsu, said Madara. You know, if we are going to dance, perhaps I should just take your eyes in the end, to try to understand the feeling that you feel with those eyes, those power, coursing through your veins. You know, you're a big role model as a grandfather, said Naruto. Well, we both know from you awakening those eyes and saw what you could do, that you no longer have any attachment to anyone that you didn't care about. And a part of me know all along that you were just using me. I was just using you, but it seems that my plan has backfired. Well, no one could ever fault you for not being smart, said Naruto. As Madara simply walked around, as he looked at the scenery. This is not a good place to dance, he said. There was many upturned rocks and trees and many obscure things in your way. Yes, I agree, said Naruto. That is why I have the perfect spot, the hidden rain. I have completely leveled the place so we can have our battle there. The nation is already gone, no buildings, nothing in our path. For us to end this. Not today, said Madara. You sound hesitant. No, said Naruto, I have something to do first. Besides, if you're gonna kill me, why do I want to rush into my death? Well, I know you would keep to your word because that is something about you. You always keep to your word whether you twist or not, said Madara. So I'll be waiting. But before I go, where's the other two tail beasts? Oh, I have them, said Naruto. Before you kill me, I'll tell you, so you can start your plan of the infinite Tsukuyomi. Well, I'll see you soon, said Naruto as he vanished. Zetsu came out of the ground. You're really gonna allow him to leave like that? If he doesn't come back, I'll track him down, said Madara. And don't worry, he will come back. And what makes you so sure recently? He has not been following any sorts of plans. From what I can see, he's completely off his rocker. He's lost his mind. It might seem that way, but he's always one step ahead of people he thinks. As he would like to say in the past, playing a game of shogi while manipulating people's life would be the best way to live as this king, watching over your pawns, your pieces move, thinking that they have control of your life when they're nothing but a part of your game. Smart boy, said Madara, smiling his face as he started to walk off. Smart indeed. I must be ready for his encounter. Do you think you can beat him? Zetsu asked. Madara said nothing as he simply looked up to the sky. As he didn't answer Zetsu's question, making his way towards the hidden rain. As Zetsu was a bit worried now. Did Madara not think that he could defeat him? Zetsu was getting worried. Meanwhile, as Naruto stopped out in a clearing as he was making his way back to Kirin, he didn't know what it was, but something was watching him. Ever since he made his way towards the hidden rain, no, not just then, ever since he was making his way there, something has been watching him. Something he could not sense properly. I know you're there. Show yourself, he said. The area in front of Naruto became thick with smoke. Black smoke. As Naruto watched as the place turned into night. It wasn't that the sun had been blocked out. Well, it had been in this part of the forest. Darkness crept over everything, trapping Naruto in a soundless forest. As Naruto looked around, there was nothing, absolute darkness. His eyes started to glow in the darkness. As he looked around, seeing the bare minimum. Uzumaki Naruto, a voice said. The voice was hollow and screeching as it spoke. What are you? Said Naruto. You wrench of death itself. But you can't be the Shinigami. I banned him from ever coming back to this realm. So are you one of his subordinates? Something that will rather surprise me. Never thought that this would happen. I am someone from your past. Someone that is here to stop you from destroying this world as you see fit. A remarkable ability to be able to implant images in someone's head. Far outclass any other genjutsu or ability. But can you even call it a genjutsu on the way you use it? To be able to make someone see your death, when in fact you're right beside them, toying with your mind. You think of yourself as a puppet master, the one to control it all. But it will not stay like that forever, Uzumaki Naruto. Your arrogance will be your downfall. Those eyes of yours will not protect you forever. Okay. My arrogance, huh? Whoever you are, why don't you step out a bit in the light and show yourself so we can have a proper face-to-face conversation. As the person or thing, whatever it was, emerged into the light. And it was not the Shinigami, but what it was surprised Naruto. Whoa. You know, as a matter of fact, I didn't expect you. You were the last person I thought I would have seen again. For once, someone have surprised me. I must say, this is quite a shock, a turnaround. Something I never expected. Meanwhile, at Konoha, as Jiraiya slowly opened his eyes. You're awake, said a voice beside him. As Jiraiya turned his head as he saw Tsunade sitting right beside him. He said. Don't rush yourself, your throat was badly wounded. I'm back, he said. Yes, he brought you here. Did he hurt anyone? Jiraiya quickly asked as he winked at his throat hurt. As a frown came on Tsunade's face, as Jiraiya cursed himself. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to stop him. From what Tsunade saw, she didn't believe that Jiraiya could actually stop Naruto anymore. Or that they could. It's bad. Really, really bad. I know. He has gotten so much more stronger. No, it's just an act. It's just ignorance to make us think that we have a hope against him. What are you saying? Asked Natty. He demolished, he hit Rinne. What? Jerry cleared his throat. He wiped it off the map. There is nothing and no one left. He just destroyed everything with 2 attacks. He has this monster construction that he can form in a second. If he was to use that on Konoha, all of us would have died. He's just playing with us. He's enjoying this like a game. He's taking out all this pain and suffering that he went through on us. I don't think that we can. Don't say that, said Natty. Tyrant like these have never lived. So long before. Power come arrogance, and he will fall. Don't lose hope on me. I need you in these crucial moments, she said. I need you, she said. Whoever died must be someone close to her. Because he saw the look on her face, she was mourning for the person's death a lot. Jiraiya sighed as he placed a smile on his face. I didn't know that he cared about me so much, he said. Well, we can kiss and make up. As Natty snarled at that. Before she laughed. As Jiraiya simply smiled, he did it to make her laugh. Because none of them can stay in a gloopy mood forever with the situation that was unfolding. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see important, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.